sometimes that just works for me. I just need a deadline. I need to know that that deadline won't change and it can't be moved, and I'm gonna lose a bunch of money if I don't stick with the plan. So that worked for me. In January of 2022, Jerome Powell said that he was going to raise rates about 7 times. And I also didn't refi some of our properties in those low rates at the time. So, it's that time of year again, and we have so many great traditions like wearing matching pajamas, and also in our family, taking the time to look back over the past year and see how we did. Did we hit our goals? Did we not? And how are we going to shift that for 2023? I'm Kathy Fettke, a co-host of BiggerPockets On the Market podcast, and I'm also co-founder of Real Wealth, where we've been helping investors since 2003 build their portfolios. I'm a buy and hold investor since 1997. I know, longer than some of you have even been alive. And I'm also a syndicator since 2010. And on today's video, I'm going to share with you how I did on my goals this year. Have you ever set goals in January and then kind of forgot about them by February? Well, one of the ways that we remember what it is that we set out to do is we write them down, and then we post them on the wall so that we're held accountable. Here's just some that I found in our Christmas boxes dating back to 1999. So every year we sit down with the family, and we also sit down with our employees, and we do a year-end completion, and then we also do a New Year vision. It's really fun, and you got to write it down. So here are some of the things that we go over in those meetings. We look at the highlights of the year. What really stood out, both personally and professionally? What were the successes and wins? And what were our challenges and failures? Because it's the challenges and failures that we learn the most from. And with that information, we're able to create new targets for the new year. So let's take a look at some of the things that I wrote down last year. One of the big goals I had for 2022 was to create a women's mastermind. And for some reason, I just was having trouble getting that off the ground. I've been wanting to do it for years. Didn't know where to start, which is so silly. I knew where to start, but sometimes when we don't start, there's something blocking us. Maybe it's fear, probably it's fear. So I just decided, you know what, I'm tired of waiting. I'm just going to do it. I don't care if it's perfect. I ended up inviting, I think it was about 16 women that I really respect, and just said, hey, let's do this mastermind. And these are syndicators, because I thought it was really important for syndicators to be able to share some of the stresses that they've been going through, and some of the new technologies that they're using, and the things that are working and not, and share that to help create more powerful women that lead. Well, even though it was definitely not perfect, I mean, I did a bunch of the cooking. I wouldn't recommend that next time, because I had them over to my house. But we really created deep relationships, and we were able to share things that we really couldn't really talk about with other people, because not very many people understand real estate syndication. So now for 2023, I want to take that and make it bigger. I created my kathyfettke.com website, where I'll have my mastermind for 2023 listed out there, and I can't wait. One of my goals was also to get prepared for what I knew would be a changing market. In January of 2022, Jerome Powell said that he was going to raise rates about 7 times in 2022. So I knew what that meant. It meant that the market was going to slow down, the economy was going to slow down. And with that would probably be great opportunity, because whenever there's a recession, well, there's usually some pretty good deals. So I wanted to start a fund to be prepared for that. And we did it. We launched the fund. This first fund, we are focusing on single family rentals in growth markets in Texas. I know there's a lot of people scared that the single family rental market is going to crash. I don't share that opinion at all, at least not in the markets that we're focused in. In fact, with interest rates so high, I think there's more and more demand for rental property, and there's no competition to buy them. I mean, very, very little. I'm thrilled about that. We got the Grow Developments website set up, and the fund is launched. So got that one. Now, another goal I had for this year was to finally revise my book, Retire Rich with Rentals. I wrote it in 2014. The world has changed so much since 2014, and the stuff in the book was just not relevant anymore. It wasn't current anymore, and I've been wanting to rewrite it. You know, people would read it and be like, oh, where do you find $90,000 properties that rent for $1,200? That was pretty common back in 2014. Definitely a different world in 2020. So every single year, This was a goal I had and I just couldn't get to it. You know how sometimes those big goals just seem so ominous, and if you have too many goals, you'll never get to all of them. I think that's what I was doing. So year after year, it just wasn't happening. This year, I really did ask for accountability. My husband was like, okay, you want accountability? I got you. And he actually booked an appointment at the audio recording studio for a certain date where it was like non-refundable. So I had to be there to record my new book, which means I had to write the new book, and I did. And sometimes that just works for me. I just need a deadline. I need to know that that deadline won't change and it can't be moved, and I'm going to lose a bunch of money if I don't stick with the plan. So that worked for me. I got it written. There were late nights and early mornings, but I got it revised. I got it re-recorded, and Retire Rich with Rentals is now out on the market and it's on the bestsellers list. I'm super happy I finally got that one done. Finally, in 2022. So we also love to take a look at our personal goals. Professional goals, of course, are really important, but it's the personal goals that matter most in the end. So the way I wanted to grow in 2022 was to learn how to be a more heart-centered leader. I think I can be a little bit of a taskmaster. I want things done. I've got lots of ideas. I can accomplish a lot of things in one day, and I expect everyone else to be able to do that too. So I think that can cause stress within a company. So I thought, how can I be more heart-centered, more loving, really let people know how much I love them and appreciate them. I would say that I give myself a C on this one. I improved for sure. We put on a great company retreat at our house. We really spoiled our employees, flew them out, fed them really well, had lots of fun, did no work. We just wanted to hang out and have fun. And that's great, but it needs to happen more than just on a retreat. It needs to be a way of life. On a personal note, I also wanted to have more fun in 2022, and I did. My daughter said that she was going to travel Europe. She had been in Asia for 3 months, and then she was going to go to Europe for 3 months, and I didn't make it to Asia to visit her, and that's been my dream. To go to Asia, to go to Thailand specifically, and she went there, and I didn't join her. I couldn't believe it. Like, what's the excuse for that? And when am I going to have that opportunity again? So when she said she was going to Europe, I was like, you know what, I'm dropping everything. It was probably the worst time for me. I had so much going on. I was writing that book. Remember, I had to get that finished and the deadline was right before, but I just committed to it. I bought the ticket and I said, I'm going to Europe with you. I missed Asia, but when am I going to have this opportunity again? Well, the irony of it is that when she got to the airport, I was already at the airport, already checked in. When she got there, she realized she forgot her passport. So she couldn't board the plane, but her boyfriend could. But I ended up spending a week in Europe with her boyfriend, who I hope will be my future son-in-law. We ended up having so much fun. What better way to get to know your daughter's boyfriend than to travel in Europe? And we really had fun. She finally got to Europe, met us in Copenhagen. Now, another one of my personal goals was to create more passive income. We have a business that helps other people create passive income at Real Wealth, where we're helping people build their single family rental portfolio, and then Grow Developments, where we're helping people completely invest passively through our fund. But me personally, I was just too busy helping everybody else build their passive income. That's a big no-no. I thought this year we're going to really focus on that. And I would say that I did okay. I'm going to give myself a C- there, because I knew the market was changing. I knew the interest rates were going up. Jerome Powell said it was happening. He warned us in January. I knew it. I was talking about it. I was doing my housing forecasts, predicting these things and telling people to get your ducks in a row because the market is changing. And I didn't really take advantage of that moment where interest rates were still really low. And in the markets that we're in, prices were still reasonable. They weren't like, just let's take Texas or parts of Florida. Those prices haven't fallen in the markets that we focus in because there's so much job growth and in migration. So I regret that we didn't max out the number of loans that we could get when interest rates were so low. And I knew they were going up. And I also didn't refi some of our properties in those low rates at the time. So that would have really increased passive income. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me here on BiggerPockets year-end wrap-up. I'm really honored that I got to share this with you. I would just say, I'll leave it with this, that look at the past year and really notice What did I do well? What could I have done better? What was the theme for the year? What was the theme for me personally, how I showed up? And how do I want it to be next year? That will affect everything. And don't forget with your goals, we do 3 professional, 3 personal, and then we write them down. We either post them or put them in a binder and look at them regularly. And in our company, we use 90.io, and every single week, we get together as a team and look at how we're doing on those goals weekly. So we can't forget about them because we're all talking about them, and you can adjust. If things aren't going as planned, you can always adjust. But every single week, we have all of these milestones on 90.io. I really recommend that through EOS so that we don't forget what we set out to do in the new year. Happy holiday, happy new year. Wishing you the best. Bye-bye.